she had told me that his brother likes me and wants to speak to me. And I went to report both of them.
Yes.
And they got into trouble.
Oh.
So
No.
so and
I
it's
can
not like
imagine how
it's
scared
not
you
like
were.
I was even a little one at that time. I probably was 11 years old at that time, and I went to report them to the teacher. So if I had only just been free and happy and spoken to the boy and said, "What do you like about me?
Tell me, please, flatter me.
I can't do no small talk, no small talk. I'm not with the small talk. Can't be with the small talk.
My name is Jodell Tantij. I'm the host of 5 Weekend Early Mornings. That is every single Sunday from 4 to 7 a.m. in the morning. And today I'm so excited to be joined with the lovely, wonderful advocate, Louisa Zondo. Thank you so much for taking your time out to chat to me today. I know you've been so busy, but just you sparing your time here means a lot to me.
Thank you so much, Jodell. Thank you so much. It is a real pleasure to be here.
It is my pleasure as well. So you studied law, you became an advocate, and then you went on to achieve so much in your career, both internationally and in South Africa. And to think at one point you wanted to become a nurse because your boyfriend at high school dreamt of becoming a doctor, and you thought, oh my goodness, it would be so lovely if I could be a nurse and work alongside him. And you told your aunts and mom this, and they immediately shut down this idea. How grateful are you to them for shutting this idea down almost immediately?
I'm very grateful because, there's so many things that in insidious ways just feed these ideas of how we belong, how we should be, what is most ideal, what is joy. And so as a young one in my high school days, filled with these dreams about what love does, where it goes, looking at movies and seeing how this pairing of humans works out from those images that are really, really implanted in us. I really believe that this now is the picture of ultimate joy.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that my parents and my aunt just did not see it.
Yeah, they're like, you're made to be a doctor. But it's so true what you're saying, because a lot of our ideas of what happiness is and what love is comes from what we see on TV, what we hear in music. So it's good that you had those influences in your life to be like, listen, yeah, this is what you're made to do. I find that really special. And I also find it's special how you and your dad, Bill, had planned to do an LLB together. Unfortunately, you couldn't do it because he passed on. But is there a certain experience that you wish that he was around to see and experience with you?
The writing of the book has done a lot of good for me because it has made me review the way in which I held some of the experiences of growing up, the way in which I held my father, and opened up a lot of realities. So there's a lot that I wish he could be seeing and hearing and experiencing from me right now.
Yes.
And a lot of it is about the softening of my heart to say, that was where you were coming from. I'm so sorry. My sisters and I have completely different experiences of our relationship with our parents, and specifically our father.
Yeah.
And when I hear what they say, I just want to hug everybody and say, I'm so sorry you had that. And I don't know what would have been the reason for my father to be so particularly hard when it came to my elder sister. But I can imagine the fear that would drive a parent to be so constricted about what happens with their firstborn daughter and almost want to punish the child into being protected.
Yeah.
If that makes sense at all.
No, it fully does. I 100% understand what you're saying, because even with my parents, there've been so many times where I've been so mad with them, and I was like, God, why on earth would you allow them to treat me this way, or why are they treating me this way? And because I'm the only girl, I have a younger brother and an older brother. They've been way easier on them than they have on me. But I've come to realize a lot, especially with my mom. She doesn't want me to make the same mistakes she made when she was younger. And I understand why she would make certain decisions when she made it. And it caused me to also be more gentle and take more time to understand where she's coming from. But that's still a hard lesson I'm still trying to learn, because I have to learn about her story and what she went through and understand where she's coming from, to understand why she decides to make decisions the way she did when I was younger.
Yeah.
So,
And an element of gratitude as well, deep gratitude that even though his ways would have in some ways backfired, but really they were new ways. He really tried to instill in our lives something that he, from the place that he was at, he believed would make life much better for us, much more meaningful, will teach us deeper ways, will open us up to our freedom. He really did believe that. So his ways of freeing us and allowing us to see a world or worlds that would not ordinarily be open to an African child at that time are some of the things that now, in my openness to deeply review, I am deeply grateful for, and I love my parents for that.
Yes, and the rules were strict, like only being able to speak English at home. The kids at school, the girls particularly, would have their heads shaved, but then you went there to school with your heads neatly braided, and then the kids would make fun of you. You felt like, oh my goodness, I'm sticking out like a sore thumb, and you struggled with being very anxious in school. You didn't want to get into trouble. You didn't want to fight with the other kids. And if you could go back to a particular situation when you were a kid and sprinkle your little self with some confidence or some courage, what situation would you go back to when you were little and just sprinkle some CC, some confidence and courage?
I think the areas that really affected me at school, which I would really wish to repair, because they probably would have offered others some gifts and joy as well, would be just those of being so afraid to be happy, so afraid to be free, and so guarded about the rules. I mean, I remember reporting a boy because he spoke to me. I went to tell the teacher I was in tears. And the sister was so concerned because she had told me that his brother likes me and wants to speak to me. And I went to report both of them.
Yes.
And they got into trouble.
Oh.
So
No.
So and it's not like I was even a little one at that time. I probably was 11 years old at that time, and I went to report them to the teacher. So if I had only just been free and happy and spoken to the boy and said, "What do you like about me?
Tell me, please, flatter me."
Oh, and then I'll look at him and say, maybe I like that about you.
Yes.
I don't see anything I like about you. That would have been just so nice and free.
Just an experience.
And so it is just, a whole suite of things that made me so afraid. If I could just hug that little Louisa and say, it's okay. We don't have to be afraid.
Yeah.
Let's just be children. Let's just jump on the playground and let's just run around. Let's just be free. And I think the fact that I also had eczema growing up did contribute to me feeling more comfortable standing rather than running around. And that's the kind of thing I would also want to free Louisa from and just allow her to, at primary, just run and be free and just jump around and laugh and hug boys and all of that. Boarding school was a different story, though, because with girls, just being a girl environment, I gained a good measure of freedom there. I was able to tumble. I remember on the lawns, I was doing cartwheels and all of that. And that's more the nature of me.
No, I love that. That's so incredible. Also love your relationship and bond that you shared with your mother. I read that you wrote a letter to her when you first had sexual intercourse. I was like, oh, that's so cool to be able to turn to your mom in that way and let her know about this experience, because often I think parents and children have this very professional relationship, and then we as kids are afraid to go to our parents and tell them things because we're scared that we're going to get cursed, we're going to be shamed, we're going to be put down. So then we decide that we rather go into suffer in silence and just not say anything. If you did not have that bond with your mom, how different do you think you and your life would have been?
I'm particularly grateful for my mother in my life and how she was just a place that was home for me. She was just that warmth for me all the time. And again, in the process of writing this book, I come to really, really deeply sense how the sister I come after would not have had that relationship with my mother. And this book is really, really filled with, it's a roller coaster of emotions for me, because that's a pain. I asked my sister in the process of writing, do you remember this and that and that? And she says, I don't even know what you're talking about. And I said, but Mommy said this. And she says, well, she would have told you that. My mother never told me anything. And that's the reality of just working through how our experiences, even though we were growing up in the same household with the same parents, would be very, very different. And so I treasure the fact that I had that place of being home in relation to my mother. And I can see how that was happening, how real that was. But you point to the experience of me writing that letter to my mother. On the one hand, yes, it comes from that beautiful relationship and the ability to be open about everything in that relationship. But at the same time, there is a more sinister aspect to that experience of that first sexual encounter, and me then finding the only way out
is to talk to her,
as writing that letter to my mother.
No, I love that, especially when you said that she was the only one you could turn to make sense of the situation. That says a lot about the kind of mother that she was to you. And you're so lucky that you have her as a mom.
Absolutely.
She's so incredible. And
she did incredible things. For example, when I was really messing up, she would find ways of spinning it to say, no, it's because your mind is so brilliant. It works in different ways. So don't worry if you didn't do it like others.
Oh, I love that. No, that's so lovely. Oh, and you have 4 sons of your own.
Yeah.
And they say that kids come onto this earth to teach us something. What would you say each son has taught you in this lifetime?
Immense lessons from each one of them. Deep, deep lessons from each one of them. My firstborn son, Sheikani, is just that teacher of authenticity. He just forced, his approach was that of drawing, pulling it out of me. And I resisted it for a long time. But for the longest time, he was fighting against me covering things up. He was fighting against me smoothing over everything and trying to speak gently to this and that in every situation, and was saying, no, that doesn't solve things. Let us confront what is happening here. It doesn't matter if we're getting embarrassed. Let us go into it. So that's a huge lesson that I learned from him. I learned it the hard way. And now that I am open to learning, our relationship is really building towards better health.
Yeah.
Because really, there was a time, he says it, that there was a time when he couldn't relate to me because of just this, lack of authenticity. He picked on it at very early stages. So, Ricardo was the one who taught me just to stop. I mean, even in the last days before Ricardo passed, he was saying, I must stop working, just go away, go find your happiness, just stop. So he in throughout life, he was saying to me, but you don't need to be doing all of this. Just pause. Temba is in a place of the third son, and maybe very much in that space of being the middle sibling, because he comes so many years after both Shekani and Ricardo. And his lesson to me was always about, you are not going to see me through the lens of what you have experienced with your other children.
Wow.
I'm here. I am Temba. Please look at me and relate to me directly.
Love that.
So that's the direct lesson I learned from Temba. While Ntobeko, the last born, in his gentleness, is the one who always gave me the message that I'm here for you. I've been watching and I'm here for you. I know where that is. I know how we can do this. He, youngest as he is, he has always given me the sense that we can always overcome things. I can always help. And I think this is the conversation I want to have with Ntobeko about how heavy is it for you to be the one who is always stepping in to make it better. I almost see a lot of myself in Ntobeko.
Yes.
Yeah.
Were you the last born or the second last born?
I was the last born.
Don't you think that's because you guys share the same? Because even when you were younger, I'm thinking about it now, you always wanted to take care of things. You were the one making your sisters lunch in the morning, and you wanted to take care of your cousin. Like, very nurturing.
Very.
Qualities you both share. So lovely. Let's talk about Ricardo. What a light, what a gift to humanity. And when you opened up about his addiction and when you found out about it, you were so gracious. Your response was so graceful. It was so kind. And I think that a lot of the times when people struggle with addiction, you know, people from the outside might be looking in thinking, oh my goodness, it's naughty behavior. This is ridiculous. Why would you do something like that? You're ruining your life and your family's life. But I think what they miss is that people who struggle with addiction have deep-rooted issues that they're trying to mask, that they're trying to escape from. And I just want to know from you, what kind of space do you think parents should create at home to ensure that they make their kids feel seen, they make their kids feel heard, validated and understood, so that they cater into their mental well-being? Because that's so important.
Hey, for me, at that time when I got to know about my son's addiction, I actually had no clue what addiction was and how it works and all of that. But what I knew was that was shattering. And I went to the only place I knew I could go to. I went to my spiritual leader. I went to my Fundisi at church. I said, this is it. This is what I've just encountered. Right there. A few minutes after getting the news, I said, this is what I've just encountered. I'm on my knees. I'm down. I'm just, I don't know. And I got the shoring up that I needed. I got the listening. I got just a few words of support and advice. And at that time, it was so important for me to be told, now you see, that child is in a difficult place. They themselves are blaming themselves for where they are. They themselves are negating themselves for the fact that they find themselves in addiction. And what they will be looking for from you is that they remain the same in relation to you. They remain the precious being that they are to you, that your love for them remains.
Yeah.
So make sure that you genuinely bring that up more than anything, so that when they look in your eyes, they will see the love. And that helped me a lot. That helped the way in which I spoke to him, because I was at the hospital when I got the news and I was going to go home to him. So when I got home and we started talking, I just had that message that this one just needs love from me. And so there is a thing which is called heartfulness. So when you engaging anybody or anything from the place of the heart, something happens. The person you are relating to feels it. And so it was genuine conversations. It was going to be a difficult journey, but I do believe that he felt that there was love and it was coming from love. And I was able to stick with the process with him because from the beginning, I was given a place from which I would come. Even with the tough decisions that had to be made, they were all coming from the place where the heart was filled with love, and therefore it permeated through everything in our relating about anything, even the tough ones, even the no's, even the real reprimands did have the place of love. So I am very grateful for that spiritual space. My church is a deep, deep spiritual space for me. I get a lot of lessons from it. And all the leaders of my church actually have never sought to make us dogmatic. I marvel at how they have always been grounding spirituality in day-to-day life. So if you're able to apply the principles of being a follower of Christ, the principles of being a believer in the Creator who holds everything precious in every experience of life, that's what the church teaches us, and I'm grateful for that.
Love it. No, that's so special. I love the way you handle things, and your entire story, when you speak about healing and grieving, you've made me look at it so differently, because I thought that it's a destination. I'm going to get to this point. I'm going to feel good, no longer going to feel triggered, no longer going to be hurt by the past. But I've since learned that it is a lifelong journey that I'm going to be just dealing with my entire life. And even things that I thought I healed from, there's always like more to learn from the situation, or things resurface from your childhood that you haven't dealt with. And you're like, oh my goodness, but it's been, I don't know, 21 years. Why am I still feeling this pain? What would you say is the greatest lesson you've learned from healing and grieving?
Yeah. For me, is this constant lesson. It keeps on coming up. That the most effective antidote to deep, deep pain and grief and just the shattered state of existence is gratitude. So I do go through a lot of pain. I do go through a lot of sadness. I do go through periods where the tears I cry are so hot. They're like they burn the cheeks.
Sure, man.
Yeah. And I do go through it. I don't stop it. I go through it. And I allow myself still to be grateful. I would be grateful for so much. It becomes so much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Even the ability to sit on the corner of that bed where I was crying, the fact that I'm here, I'm sitting, is something that I can be grateful for.
Beautiful.
The fact that I loved so much, and that's why I'm so much in pain, is something to be grateful for.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a quote that says, like, you're hurting so much because you loved so much.
Yes.
And that's so true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even after everything that you've been through in your life, what a message your story carries through all the messiness, through all the hardships. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because it's healed me a lot. There were times when I was reading this book and I had to pause because I was like, whoa, I need to breathe. I need to take in what she's saying. I need to reflect on my own life, and then I could continue reading.
Yeah.
But those pauses allowed for healing to take place.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. And it is really my hope that we will keep inspiring each other, sharing our stories, and allowing ourselves to break free from the molds that we've come to believe we must be operating from in order to bring out our power, in order to move things towards the change that must happen in society.
Yeah.
And so for me, the telling of the truths, especially to young people, I was telling the truth to myself, I was telling the truth to my children, to my family, but I also would love to tell these truths to the young people, because they're still experiencing these dark experiences of misogyny, violence, deep violence in all forms. You know, the economic state is a huge, huge place of violence. How do we open up to see this, navigate, build our lives in ways that actually force the change, but also allow us to lessen some of the suffering that we take in from the places
And we're
that
not
we're
meant
sitting.
to, for sure. And we're not meant to go through this life with that heavy burden. So it's so good that you put it that way. We're going to do Fast 5, ask you 5 questions, and you have to answer it in either one word or short sentence. Are you ready?
I don't know if I ever would be ready for this. Okay.
Okay, so number 1, if you had the power to create one rule everyone had to follow, what would it be?
Love, love, love.
Yes, love it. I'm going to say number B. Number 2, what is your most painful memory?
The news of my son passing.
And what is your happiest memory?
driving with my children, singing out loud, and just dancing.
Oh, love it. Number 4, what is a moment in time you would love to re-experience?
The moments where Kumi and I held each other's hands, looked in each other's eyes, and said, we are here for each other.
Yeah, love it. And last one, what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Be grateful.
Love it. You are incredible. Thank you so much for taking your time to open up yourself to me. Thank you for your book. And I've loved this conversation, and I'm just incredibly grateful for you because you've left a mark on me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jodell. Thank you.
This is 5